good news of great joy for all the people. Please be seated. A couple of years ago, my wife and I were privileged to spend a week in the Holy Land. It was quite an adventure, a wonderful time. How many of you have ever been on a trip to the Holy Land? Quite a few of you, so you relate to the story, I'm sure. It's about the third day, and I was very excited because that was the day we were going to get to go to Bethlehem. Bethlehem is about 7 miles outside of Jerusalem, so it's a short ride on our little tour bus, and we're about 25 of us in this group, and we loaded up on that bus, and we headed to Bethlehem, and we were met just outside of what they call Manger Square, which is a courtyard right in front of the Church of the Nativity. You've seen it on TV. If you've watched Midnight Mass on CNN or wherever, all the throngs of people, that's where they are. And then the Church of the Nativity is a church built over the site where we believe Jesus was born. In my experience there in Bethlehem on that day, it really reminds me so much of what Christmas has become. It was a very confusing and in some ways sad part of my Holy Land experience. Once you get inside, the Church of the Nativity is quite a madhouse. Hundreds and hundreds of tourists are there from all over the world, speaking many different languages, and they're being led by this tour guide or this one. They're all screaming at them, come and look at this. And there's beautiful works of art to see and stories about how the church was built and when it was built and who did it. There are 3 Christian denominations that claim that church for their own, and they take turns using the church at various times during the day and the night. And you'll see them wandering around, different clergy and monks and nuns and priests from all 3 of these denominations. There's Roman Catholics and Orthodox and Armenians who share that holy spot. Underneath the church is a spot. See, Jesus, we know, was born in a stable, but it didn't look like what we might think it looked like. Stables were most likely placed in caves in that time and in that place. There wasn't a whole lot of wood to build barns like we imagine the scene. And a very early legend, less than 100 years after Jesus was born, indicated that spot, and that the stable was in a cave, a grotto, more accurately. And that's where Christians have always thought the birth of Jesus took place. As I said, that grotto, that cave, is beneath the church. It's just below the large altar area, this chancel area of the church where they have many of the services in there. And we, like everyone else there, were anxious to get down there to that part. That's why we were there, right? So we queued up in this really, really long line and inching our way towards the stairs that would take us down to the grotto. Now, they don't allow tourists underneath the church if a service is taking place. So we're trying to get underneath there before the next prayer service came about. And our guy was pushing us along to the stairs, keeping an eye on us, and managing us like a mother hen and making sure we were ready to roll. And he's watching the clock, and he's also getting some rather stern looks from one of the Orthodox priests in the place. It really reminded me of Christmas. Really? Always in a hurry? Sound familiar? No time to look around, no time to reflect or pray or remember. Here we were surrounded by centuries of prayers. And if you've ever been in a holy place like that, even a place like this, you can feel the prayers. They're in the walls and in the floors and in the ceiling. And that place is definitely like that. And these beautiful works of art and the smell of incense that had been floating up there for centuries. And in the midst of all that, we're squeezed into this little staircase and rushed down the stairs to the caves underneath. And just as we approached that spot, it opened up to where the grotto was, this holy of holy grounds, the birthplace of God. Well, one of the Orthodox priests walked up and ordered us out. It was time for their next prayer litany. In their tradition, they began their procession up to the altar down there at the grotto, at the site, and they went up their super secret stairs to go up to the altar area, and they don't allow anybody down there for that. But we couldn't go back the way we came because there's like 8,000 tourists behind us now waiting for their shot. So the only way out is the exit stairs, and he was just insisting that we just go straight on out the exit as soon as we got down there. So our tour guide did some fancy talking and convinced this priest that we would do it very fast, and we'll hurry through the cave, and we'll run up the other stairs and out of their way. And again, it felt like Christmas. I was not happy. All this time getting to Israel, those long hours on the plane, the touring of Jerusalem, and then heading finally to Bethlehem to the spot. The spot! And there's no time for Jesus. No time to reflect on Mary's labor pains, Joseph's fretting and concern, the animals who are surrounding them, the cold, the loneliness, the fear as this baby is born in a barn. In the poorest of circumstances comes the King of Kings. In the worst case scenario comes the Prince of Peace. And once again, there's no time to pay tribute, to soak it in, to feel the very grace of God becoming human, this lightning bolt of God interjecting into human history in a way no one could have ever imagined. Really? A baby, an infant, vulnerable and hungry and bloody, and there's no midwife, and there's no doctor, and there's no epidural. There's just swaddling clothes and hay. And I wanted to feel that. I was in the place. I wanted to sense it, to imagine it, to breathe it, to cry over it, or to smile over it, or to laugh and joy about it. But just like every Christmas, I was rushed past Jesus. In that area in the grotto, there are two small little caves. In one, they have laid a silver star on the floor of it. It's kind of cheap looking, actually. And they say, well, this is the place where the baby was born. And about 5 feet away in another one, they say, well, that's where the manger was, where he was laid after his birth. And you can look at all that if you have time. We did not. In a panic, our guide was rushing us through, literally grabbing us by the arms, saying, touch the star, look at the manger, go up the stairs. Touch the star, look at the manger, go up the stairs. Over and over and over for 25 of us. And literally we had about 3 seconds in that spot. We did what we're told, and up the stairs we went. And just as the last of our party made it, they slammed the doors, and the prayer service, which lasted about 8 minutes, began. That line to enter the grotto now stretched the length of the building, and it would have taken hours if we got back in that line to try and maybe spend a little more time in that holy space. But I do hope those people were allowed to linger. What a metaphor for Christmas. You and I can change it. We can change it this year. Christmas Eve is here. What a beautiful night with wonderful songs and ancient prayers and the joy of family and friends. If we stop and think about it, we can make a change, you and I. We can linger. It's not too late. Will you hang around the cave a little bit tonight? Will you think about Mary and Joseph? What must it have been like for them? Will you sit with Jesus in that manger and wonder about this amazing miracle that love came down from heaven and nothing has ever been the same since? Love came down to reconcile us with our Creator, who is love, and loved us enough to become one of us. Not kind of like us, not close to us, but every bit as human as you and I are. Can we hang out with love and reflect and give thanks and say to Jesus, this Christmas I want it to be about you, about love, and yes, about shepherds who are giddy with the news and choirs of angels who sing joyously about this new way, this new chance, a new life for all of us right here and right now because Jesus was born in that little cave. Because of that, we, you and I, now have redemption and grace that we do not deserve. So can we linger a bit and remember that? Now, my brothers and sisters, it really does not matter to me if this is the only time all year you have wandered into a church, or if you are here with us every week or in your own hometown. What matters is that you are here tonight, led here, perhaps, to reflect and to worship, and I'm hoping to pause. For even the simple act of coming tonight is an act of defiance against the world that wants us to rush through it all, to forget why we celebrate, to make Christmas about all the wrong things. So thank you for doing that tonight. Now, I know it is an exciting night before an exciting day. But before you get to the presents and the food and the travel and whatever else is on your agenda this holiday, I'm asking you to stop. Will you, unlike me in the Holy Land, hang out by that star for a bit? Will you tonight read this story that you just heard our deacon read to you? Read it once again. Take your bulletin home with you if you don't have a Bible. But tonight, perhaps you by yourself or with family and friends can linger together long enough to hear that gospel passage again. And as you hear it, as you read it, imagine it. Put yourself there. Picture it. Breathe it in. Let it be your Christmas gift to yourself this year. For we need to hang out with Jesus a little longer. To remember and to rejoice and to reflect and to always give thanks. And I'll remind you of this as well. Christmas is a season. It starts now and it goes on until Epiphany. You and I can claim that time and space. I hope you will. These 12 days of Christmas, the world has not yet taken away from us. We can take that time and use it to really consider just what happened that very first Christmas when love came down from heaven for you and for me. And I dare say we should never rush away from the beauty of that miracle. I really wish I could have hung out in that cave for a while. But my brothers and sisters, we don't have to be in a grotto in Bethlehem to spend some time with Jesus, do we? It's Christmas. It's here. And we can hear them, the angels singing, and we can see them, the shepherds who testified about what they had seen. And we can anxiously wait for those stargazers who will come, because in the fullness of time, God came down. That's worth a pause, I think. Let us rejoice. Let us remember. Let us pray. Let us celebrate as we linger just a while with our Lord. Merry Christmas.